What's up, students? It's your Sensei PGT, and welcome back to another class. Today's class will be going outside for a field trip. That's right, we're hunting for the elusive morel mushroom in the great outdoors. Morel mushrooms are a type of edible fungi that's highly sought after because they taste delicious and they have a very unique appearance. In my opinion, they're one of the best tasting mushrooms I've ever come across. I'll share with you some tips and take you on a little adventure on how I found morel mushrooms in my neighborhood. First, let's start with the basics. Morels are a type of mycorrhizal fungi, which means they have a symbiotic relationship with plants and tree roots in order to produce fruiting bodies. This also makes them almost impossible to cultivate at home because it's hard to reproduce that type of environment needed to get them to fruit. This is why we have to go foraging for them. They have a cone-shaped cap with honeycomb-like texture and a hollow stem. Morels can vary in color from light yellow to dark brown, so keep an eye out on these unique features. Black and gray morels tend to pop up at the beginning of the season. Yellow morels will come later on in the season, but you can definitely find a mix of them anytime you go foraging for them. They also have a very short season, typically from late March to late May in North America. The tips I'll be sharing with you will help arm you with the knowledge. You know what you're looking for when you go out on your next foraging trip for them. Alright, so tip number one, what you want to do is check your ground temperature. Before you start your hunt, you want to make sure the air and ground temperatures are perfect. Morel mushrooms start to produce when the ground temperature reaches around 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and they also prefer air temperatures of around 60 degrees or higher. Now, if you go out too early and it's still cold, you won't expect to find them. And if you go too late in the season and it warms up significantly, you probably won't be able to find them either. So if you're in the right temperature range, then you're ready to start hunting. Tip number two is to wait for rainfall. Morel mushrooms, they like humid environment, and you won't be able to find them unless it's rained recently. Typically in the spring, you'll get a lot of rain, so after a big rainstorm, you want to wait about 2 to 3 days and then go and start your hunt. Like they say, April shower brings May flowers, so check your weather forecasts and plan your trips outside accordingly. Tip number three is to look for trees. Oftentimes you can find morel mushrooms in relation to the trees in the area. Because they're mycorrhizal fungi, they have a special relationship to certain trees. Now, you can typically find morels growing around elm trees, apple trees, ash trees, sycamore trees, tulip poplar trees, black cherry trees, and aspen trees. This is probably the most difficult part of morel hunting because a lot of trees look alike. The best way to start identifying trees is to kind of look at what their leaves they produce, what the tree bark looks like. Once you start to familiarize yourself with how the leaves and the barks look, it'll make identifying and spotting trees a lot easier. Now, the trees that I found these morel mushrooms were surrounded by tulip poplar trees, and one of the ways I was able to identify them is the leaf structure of the tulip poplar. A lot of trees have very specific shapes to their leaves, and once you can spot the shape of the leaves, it makes spotting the trees a bit easier. Alright, here's a perfect example of what I mean when these mushrooms grow next to the trees. As you can see, these morels, they like to hide in plain sight. Sometimes they're very hard to spot, but they're not very far from the trees that they have the relationships with. So when you find trees, start looking around the trees, probably a couple feet away from them, and you should be able to spot some morels if they're in the area. Tip number four, you want to look from different angles to find them. Once you can find one morel mushroom, you'll be able to find many more not too far from it. And oftentimes morel mushrooms blend in with the environment on the ground. So when you find the right area, it's good to get close to the ground and scan them horizontally across the floor. Also, try circling around the area and look at the ground from different perspectives and angles. A morel might be in front of you this whole time, and you probably wouldn't notice it unless you were looking at it from a different angle. Here, this clip I'm foraging with my friend, and I'll let this clip play out here.
Morel season, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I bet you it's exactly burning, which is the park rangers are punching there all the time now.
Oh shit, I see one. What? This one.
alpha poison ivy.
Now I know some people are going to give me gripe for using a plastic bag hunting, and I agree a mesh bag would be much more appropriate for morel hunting, but I just didn't have it at the time, so I just make do with the folklore grocery bag. Alright, tip number 5 is to be patient and persistent. Morels can be difficult to find, but with persistence and a good eye, you'll eventually come across them. So don't give up if you don't find any right away. And when you do find some, you're bound to find much more right near them.
This is the Morel jackpot. So many here.
Alright, another tip that I want to add in is try to bring a friend with you to go hunting. Because when you have 2 people looking, you have double the amount of eyes to try and find morel mushrooms. And here we found the biggest morel mushroom of our hunt so far. And plus having company also makes the hunt experience a lot more enjoyable because you're not out there alone.
Can I pick it? That's a fat morel right there. What's up? This is the biggest one I found. Show them that trick that you do. What's that? You blow on them? Yeah, it cleans all the... It'll get the bugs and debris off it before you put it in your bag, and it helps spread the spores. I don't know, it's just something I thought of.
And that's it for today's video. I hope these tips help you on your mushroom hunting journey. And if you have any other tips or tricks, please share them in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Happy hunting, guys.